Hello, I'm Jerry Linter, and this is State of the Town, a monthly show when we sit with our first selectman, Lisa Heavner, and get brought up to date on the state of the town. Lisa, thank you. Thank you for making your time available, clearing your schedule to talk to your admirers. And they are admirers. Wow. What kind of a response did you get in the election?
Well, I'm very grateful.
You earned it. Come on.
I work hard, and it's nice to see the residents believed in me and voted for me. And I just want to thank everyone who ran, because it was a very respectful campaign. And I especially want to thank my opponents.
Yeah, after that big bump in sort of what felt to me like old-time partisanship, I mean, going back years, and I saw it, this place used to be a war zone when it came to elections, and we seem to have got away from that. And then the stuff that happened last, ooh, no, not again. No, we're not back to that. And the elections, I thought, were quite respectful. And
They were respectful.
well, except I guess a couple talked about the, let's see, what is it? Corruption in town and the marijuana and the drug problems. Did you watch all of the people with their little election speeches?
I did. And,
Okay, so-
everybody's entitled to their opinions.
Yeah,
Jerry.
I guess so. Marijuana, so there you go.
No, I mean, I think, what happened last November and December was upsetting to many people. But and I think people recognize that that wasn't where the community wanted to go. So everybody really worked hard
Okay,
to
so
come together.
I
You don't want to hear that, huh?
Well, no, fine. So I do have a question.
Sure.
And I know that, like, I think it's on the Board of Ed, and I don't know if it's in the, our charter, or if it's just an agreement that board, each party will only put up an equal number so that they're all going to be elected.
It does happen that way right now. It's currently being reviewed by charter revision, and that's one of the issues that has been raised.
Well, the one
to
question
evaluate.
that I had, in my recollection, it was never that way for the Board of Selectmen.
Oh, no.
So I was surprised when all of us, and I says, vote for 3. And I thought, well, there are 3 from each party.
Right.
Why vote for 3? Why can't I vote for 5?
That's a great...
And then parties put up more candidates.
We could, but by our charter, this is the way we've
By
been
the
doing.
charter?
And
I
it
don't
may be-
remember it.
Well,
as
it may
being-
be by state statute. I
I
don't know the
remember
reason.
that either. It seems to me like there used to be more
Maybe.
candidates and you could vote for more.
Well, that could be. Sometimes we do have independents run. When we had Simsbury first, they
Yeah.
ran more candidates, so sometimes that does happen. I'm not sure the legality of that, but I know that they are looking at that at
See,
charter
I thi-
revision.
I mean, I understand, we don't want one party controlling the whole thing. But on the other hand, it's a democracy. If that's what the town wants, then, seems
There-
like they should be able to do that.
There is a requirement at the state level that there be minority representation. It doesn't have to be Democrats or Republicans. It could be someone not of the same party. So there is some requirement
Yeah,
of minority
but it
representation.
shouldn't be forced that then they're going to get elected.
Forced to get elected? Or you
Well, if you say there needs to be minority representation, and say you had 5 seats, and you say, well, nobody can run more than 3, that doesn't guarantee the minority person is going to be elected. I mean, it just means we're allowed to run.
Yeah, well, in our board of selectmen, we have, the first selectman who serves as both the executive and on the legislative branch, which is sort of unusual. 2 branches of government, and then we have 5 members of the board of selectmen that serve on the legislative branch.
Right.
So it is kind of interesting, and one of the things that's sort of interesting about the first selectman race is that if you don't win that
You
election,
may,
if you garner enough votes, you can
Right.
secure a seat on the board of selectmen, so you can carry it down.
Yeah, see, and I was kind of thinking, it used to be, but this is obviously could not have been so, that there was an uneven number when you added the first selectman to the board, so that you would never end up with a tie. But that's not so. There's a total of 6 of you.
That's right.
Yeah.
In some ways, that's a good thing, Jerry, because in the upcoming board, it's very interesting.
Oh, good.
And-
Everything is good with you. Please, give me a break. Come on, maybe corruption in the town, is it?
Sorry, I don't have that. But I do have 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, 3 men, 3 women on the upcoming board. And I think that's a good thing.
Okay, but where's the transgender?
I don't, well,
Was there a minority representation for it?
no.
No, well,
But they,
not fair. Not fair.
well, let me just
March.
say, Jerry, the town of Simsbury is very welcoming, and one day that'll happen. And the community will be very accepting because we're an
One
accepting
day,
community.
very
Yeah.
welcoming. We live in a bubble. Come on, the rest of the world. We could be from Syria or Afghanistan.
No.
Well, we could be.
We could be, but we're
We're
not.
not,
We're
so-
from Simsbury.
So, yeah. Okay. So, and besides that, not only do you have the opportunity for 2 more years of a term, but did you save us some money this year?
We
Did we
did.
actually come in under budget?
We did. We just, last night, we had a Board of Selectmen meeting.
And you got elected with people not even knowing this.
Oh, well, but people do know that we're fiscally conservative, and all the boards are. The Board of Selectmen works very closely with the Board of Ed and the Board of Finance, and because that's what our citizens expect. So we did close out fiscal year 15 with a positive, so we'll be returning $862,000 to the general fund. So we're pleased to let the folks
And I know
this.
how you do it. I've noticed it before, but it never quite registered why it was there. Walking across the parking lot toward the entrance, I saw the sign that says, "No idling." Now, did you put that up when you were elected, and that's your message to the employees, that once you enter this building, it's a sweatshop, there is no idling?
That is a funny sign, and actually I did inquire about that because I thought it was kind of an odd sign. And the reason for it is sometimes cars would stop there with their engines running, and the fumes would go into the building.
I know, and that goes into the police department.
It does, and it was disruptive. So we asked people not to idle their
Well,
cars, not their person.
I paid a visit to the police department the other day because the stuff that I do, the financial stuff, periodically you've got to get your fingerprints done. So I went there, and I should have got the guy's name. He did a great job. But at one point, I'm told you need these 2 pages. Well, we don't do it with the ink anymore. We do it digitally, and it's set up to fit a certain format on the pages, which are not the same as those 2 pages. So, first of all, he's really tall, and he looked very fit, so I was not going to argue with him. I just put my 2 pages aside and went along with it.
I thought that's a good decision, Jerry.
Thank you. He had a gun, too. So then you still roll them like this, and this, I said, well, we might run into a problem when we get to this one. I said, what is that? I said, no, it's my finger. I said, no, but why is it like that? I said, it's Dupuytren's. It's a Northern European genetic thing. So I said, well, that's going to be a problem, rolling that. He said, does it hurt if I just try to straighten it out? I said, only if you break it, because you're not going to straighten that out. There's no way that'll open up. Well, anyhow, we're doing our rolling stuff, and this thing comes back saying, failure, do it again, failure, do it again. So, and he did a great job. We got it so everything was right. Except when we get to this one, we can't do that. So then he said, well, get on the other side of me and put your arm around behind me. I thought, oh, my God, I hope nobody walks by at this point. Well, who walked by? Chief Ingridson. Now we have to have him on the show again because
Absolutely.
he's gotten by easy for too long now. So he immediately tells the guy to put me in the paddy wagon or lock me up in the psych cell right away. So anyhow, we had to end up with. So he called in this other guy, and this other guy is taller than this other guy is. Where did these policemen come from? This is not the typical Simsbury policeman. So I asked what the criteria was, and they said you had to be 6 feet. And then the bigger guy, who I think was a senior rank, said, no, we have one who's 5'2". And then the other guy corrected, no, 5'1".
I don't, Jerry, no one's ever asked me this before, so I don't have an answer for you.
Well, it's not a question. I'm
Okay.
relating a story.
Okay.
And it's complimenting what a great job they did. We
Don't
finally
they?
said this one's deformed, and we moved ahead. And so anyhow, I just wanted to pay a compliment to how flexible and wonderful our police force is. And Chief Ingvartson, he just walks on water. He's wonderful.
He is
He did
wonderful.
lock me in the psych cell one time when we did a show down there. He said, you might want to just step in, and he locked it right away, and it was on camera. So,
No, but you're right. We do have a wonderful
We
police
do.
department, and they do something called community policing, which is sometimes you hear about that on the national news. And basically, that is an approach to law enforcement where it's about public safety, not just law enforcement. So they do a lot of public outreach to the community, and we're very grateful for their efforts.
yeah, but the profile has changed some. I mean, these new ones, they look intimidating. They are nice and they smile, but physically, you're not going to mess. You're not going to mess. Actually, our guest today, it's probably quite timely
It is.
because here we all are trying to blow our leaves
Right.
into our neighbor's yard.
No.
No. But we can't blow them in the street like in West Hartford. So who is the guest today?
Can you guess?
Can I guess? Let's see. I know. Because they've jumped right past Thanksgiving. We're not having like some turkey guy on the day. Santa?
No.
No.
But you didn't even give me a chance to talk about a couple things that are coming up.
Okay, do you want to cut him short and take his time, or do you want to talk about those?
I want to do both. I just want to let folks
Okay,
know
talk
that
really
I'll
fast.
go really fast. On December 12th is Wreaths Across America, sponsored by the Daughters of American of the DAR, and that will be held on Simsbury Cemetery at Plank Hill at noon on December 12th, and residents are
What
invited
if
to
it
come.
snows? What if
We
there's
do it in
3
the
feet of snow?
Yeah, they do it in the snow.
They
They're
do
very,
it in the snow?
Yes, and you can buy wreaths to put on memorials for the veterans. It's a wonderful project. So
I
we hope people will.
never heard about that before. That's great.
It is great. And tomorrow, although after the show shows, we're doing a veteran ceremony thanks to the VFW and the American Legion are hosting a veteran ceremony for Veterans Day tomorrow. I want to thank them for their participation and
I
their
wasn't
organization.
invited. I'm
The
a
whole
veteran.
the whole public is invited.
Well, we're just hearing about it now. We have plans. Some of us work.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to take time off and remember veterans at 11
Well, I'm a
o'clock on the
veteran. I
11th day
remember
of the
me.
11th month. I'm
Okay.
glad. Well, thank you for your
Still.
service. Actually, thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
Very appreciative.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, so now
Do your introduction.
I'd like to introduce Tom Roy, who's our Director of Public
Wait,
Works.
no, say his name more slowly, because when people want to call with observations that fall into his area, they want to get his last name right.
Roy
Roy.
is the last name.
Yeah, Tom Roy. Now, is that an R-O-I like the king, or R-O-Y?
R-O-Y.
Oh, Anglicized. Would you scoot over a little more closely so we can pick you up? Who chooses your color schemes?
I usually dress myself these days.
And he's wearing the color schemes of Simsbury High School, so
I
it's
didn't
very
ask
appropriate.
who dressed you. I would not ask that person.
I think it's perfect because Simsbury High School is blue and gold, and that's what blue and yellow, and that's what Mr. Roy is wearing.
I think it's absolutely stunning. I just don't see too many people wear blue and gold except on the football field.
Really?
So,
That's not true at all.
but you told me he's quite an athlete.
He is.
He's a triathlete.
Triathlete. He is. He competes in many, you've competed all over the nation, right? Mostly the Northeast.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the hardest part for you is what of the three? So this is running, biking, and swimming, right?
It almost always goes in the order of swim, bike, and run, and that's for safety. If you fall running, and that's okay. If you fall off your bike, it's much more serious, and if you stop swimming, it can be very serious.
Oh, so you do that first.
You always swim.
So that eliminates a lot of people for the other two events.
It
'Cause
can. Some of the triathlons have
no.
cutoff times. If you don't finish the swim by a certain time, they don't let you continue on.
I see. So which do you find the most challenging for you?
I'm relatively balanced in all three. The hardest part for me is always the start.
The start.
Always nervous before the start.
Nervous, huh? Nervous.
Yeah.
Excited, animated. You got like 0 body fat. I would think the swimming would be hard. Or do you swim underwater all the way because you can't float?
You swim crawl stroke almost the whole way. And
Can you float?
In some races, they allow you to use wetsuits. Some races, they don't. And the wetsuit actually, it's not like a scuba diving wetsuit. It's meant for swimming, and it
You could
actually gives you
inflate
some
it
buoyancy.
as opposed to deflated
Oh, I didn't know
suit.
that.
It does, yeah.
Are you allowed to use backstroke or breaststroke during the swim?
You can.
But why would you?
It's not as efficient. And the other thing is, I can tell you, is in the shorter races where you have people who are less experienced who may do breaststroke, it's really hard to get around them as you're swimming up behind them.
Oh, because their strokes are wider.
It takes a lot more room. And if you get in trouble, backstroke's a good option.
Right.
So can you float?
I don't float.
I know. I figured you didn't float. I was a lifeguard at, a swimming instructor too, and taught lifeguarding at this camp when I was in college. And so I figured I'd pick to pull off the bottom, some sturdy guy. So this guy, had like the body of a 20-year-old. He was an athlete and all packed and everything. So he jumps in, goes right to the bottom. So I dive in, go down, come up behind him, go, quarter of an inch at a time, And I get to the top, and I think, I said, there. So then I thought, that wasn't like how easy this is. So there were 2 twins. One was nicknamed Tank, and the other one Tiny. And they weighed over 200 pounds of blubber. So, they'll be so buoyant. So then I told one of them to jump in, and I would do this again, because everybody was going to think, wow, they're really big. They wouldn't sink. They couldn't go to the bottom, so I couldn't rescue them. Okay, so we've had personal stories. Your job here is?
I'm Director of Public Works.
Which means?
It means that I take care of all the town buildings, the highway department, the landfill, responsible for all the snow clearing, trees on the edge of roads, guardrail.
He's also our tree warden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you know we had a tree warden?
I did, actually, because we talked about this when Owens Boulevard,
Yeah.
when they were putting in a new walk and took down those dangerous trees when we had the storm and all. But also, like after that storm, I had mentioned to Mary then at that point that my wife and I had gone out and walked the trail at Ethel Walker. And, don't do that just yet. So there are all these hangars there, and we're confronted with how to get them down. I said, well, I did notice that, and you kind of think it could come at any moment. How do you maintain those trails? And I understand you're making them more intimate with little alcoves along the way, or was it interesting?
Interesting.
Interesting. Okay.
With Ethel Walker, I will tell you, Jerry Toner did go in and take care of the hangars. They had someone come in and do that. But
Why
Tom
wasn't
is working.
Tom doing
well,
that?
Tom is working on a different trail that he's going to tell you about.
We've been working collaboratively, actually, between a bunch of different departments in town to basically resurrect the Simsbury Loop Trail. It goes down by essentially from Helen's Way off of Iron Horse Boulevard down to the river behind the band shell, and eventually it's going to loop back to where it once did through the Simscroft property. And these are trails which were used.
Are usually underwater. My wife and I have tried to walk them a number of times, and after the first time we were quite prepared, and even then the water came over our galoshes.
And the trail starts at the boathouse.
Right.
So-
And,
Yeah.
generally,
So what do you?
the trails had really just not been used for
Yeah.
years, so they became
Well,
overgrown with
Because
brush.
they're impassable, yeah.
Yeah, trees had fallen, things like
And
that.
invasives.
And a lot of invasive species
and
back
you're
there.
and you're in watershed too there, so that's going to be touchy, right?
Well, we went back, and what we've done to this point is we cleared all the brush.
Yeah.
We removed all of the dead trees, any dangerous trees that were hanging over the
Yeah.
trail. And right now what we have is the first stage is complete, where you can go essentially from the crew boat house back in well over a mile. It loops back, and then it comes back in onto itself. So there's that actual trail that you could run or walk or
And this was an
bike or-
existing trail, so we didn't create a new trail. We just
No,
cleared
I
an
know
existing.
it was an existing trail, but it used to be you got there and you either went out through Simscroft Echo Farms, or you walked. Well, actually, if you walk further and then circle back, that's when it got really sloshy back
Right.
there. So.
And most of what we found some good trails that are still, it was just a matter of clearing the brush. We're now going to be working on establishing at least a sight line of where the roadway used to go that led in from Simscroft to kind of evaluate what the next step might be.
How can we come across their property?
We have an easement through their property, but I think it would be something that we would discuss whether it'd be appropriate to do a land swap so that we would maybe take a portion of the edge of the property that would push us closer to the band shell. Or, again, this might be, a couple years out before this gets done.
Yeah, Mike's got to come down on his price for that property. I mean, that'd just be great for, more affordable housing right near the center there.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's working on some plans, so we'll hear from Mike at some point.
Okay, well, that's good. Hey, and you heard it here first. How about that? Hey, Mike, way to go. Woo. Okay, so now let's say that I just moved here from West Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
So I blow all my leaves into the street, knowing that the city will come by and vacuum them up. Hasn't worked out so well for West Hartford over the years because it snows and they freeze
Right.
and then they get plowed back into the yard. But here, it's
Yeah.
much less convenient for a resident to get their leaves picked up because we've got rather strict rules, right?
Well, leaf collection is always a challenge. First off, we do a bagged leaf collection. We do one pass through everybody's neighborhood. Each year, we rotate which neighborhood is first and which one is second so that it's fair
A
year after
bag
year.
leaf collection.
Bag.
Yep.
Yeah.
Biodegradable brown bag, any biodegradable brown bag.
So
You don't
you're
have to
not-
buy special
You're
bags.
not going to suck them up. They have to be in a bag.
That's correct. But we always have the challenge if somebody's going to say, who picked this schedule because not all of my leaves have fallen. And we're balancing out when are the leaves going to be down versus when is the first snowstorm? Because we don't want to have you go to the trouble of putting all of your leaves into these nice biodegradable brown bags and then have a snowstorm where we now run plow trucks, which are going to make a mess of those brown bags.
What about the leaves that fall in the street?
The leaves that fall into the street naturally are picked up as part of our, once a year we go through with the street sweepers.
Yeah, but
And-
that's in the spring.
And if and when we see rain events coming up, one of the important jobs that the highway department does is we go around, we make sure none of the drains in the street are
blocked.
clogged.
Right.
If you get a pile of leaves in a catch basin, very quickly the water can run off of the road and down a driveway and into somebody's garage or in their basement. So it's something that we always do before rain events, and it's just part of our routine maintenance.
Okay, and you've been here how many years now?
Since 2008.
Oh, boy. I remember when you were just a kid and you came here and you have not changed a bit in appearance. It must be all that triathlon
Could
stuff.
be. Could
Yeah.
be. But
Could
the
be.
other thing I want to just make sure is with the leaves, if you don't get all of your leaves picked up when we go by with the brown bags, you can bring them to the landfill on any Wednesday or Saturday, free of charge.
Free of charge.
Free of charge. We take all of the leaves and we make leaf compost out of them.
Okay. So, are there any other points that you would like, that you think, oh, damn, you didn't ask about this, or that you think are really important? Not you, Tom.
I do have something.
Well,
I'm going to defer
whisper
my question to
Tom.
Lisa then.
I was just going to say, we have this, if you want to know when your leaf picket is going to happen, you can go online and Tom has put up an excellent link and you can type in your address and it will tell you the exact date so that you know when to do your raking.
Okay. Then, have you ever had a complaint from a resident?
We get a few complaints each year on the leaf collection, but not many.
Oh, I don't mean on just leaf collection. I mean, you're responsible for so many things. I'm just curious, what kind of complaints have you got in the past?
In general, you mean?
No, I'm asking Tom.
Boy, I'm trying to think. They're so few and far between, Jerry.
Well, then I think that you'd certainly be able to remember them like that.
Well, we always have the challenge that as much as the guys do a great job plowing snow,
Yeah.
you always end up with the two big concerns during a snowstorm, which is when did you start plowing, putting snow into driveways, and on occasions mailboxes become the victim of snow plowing.
Or,
So this is a great time of year to go out and check your mailbox while the weather is still nice and make sure that the post
that is
isn't
there,
rotted.
take a picture of it.
Make sure the post isn't rotted, the post isn't split, make sure that it's not hanging out over the edge of the roadway. These are things that you can do to help make sure that your mailbox stays for the winter.
I pay for this service. Why should I have to do something to help with it?
Precisely because you pay for it.
Well, last year, though, when we had some of those really
Wet.
wet, heavy snows, and the snow plows come by, boy, if you were in 15 feet of those when they're going by, you'd be dead, man. And I mean that, and then when it would turn cold, and you'd have the huge ice dam. I think they do a fantastic job. I mean, you can only tame Mother Nature to a certain extent. But I was amazed because in the 10 feet right away down from our wall, it used to just be a mess. So when we moved there, we had like daylilies, like lots of plants and everything. Some raspberries. Last year, when these snow plows came by, those raspberries were pruned further down than I would ever have pruned. I was just amazed.
Have you ever done a ride-along, Jerry?
No, actually, though, Kristen at our TV station, she's done a ride-along. She says it's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
So you drive one of the trucks?
I do not drive the big truck now.
Jerry, one quick thing, because I know we're wrapping up. I just want to remind folks about Simsbury Celebrates. That's coming up.
Okay, they need lots of volunteers.
They need lots of volunteers. They do a great job. It's November 28th. The event starts at 4 p.m. We encourage people to go if you want to volunteer. They
Is
need
that
help
on a
with
Friday or a Saturday?
that. It is on a Saturday, and you
Starts
can
at
visit Mrs. Claus's Kitchen at First Church or the Lego exhibit at the Free Library, and there's lots of events going on
You
for the whole
can
family.
go in the closet?
No.
I thought you said you can visit the closet.
No,
Did you-
Mrs. Claus's Kitchen at
Oh,
First
Mrs.
Church.
Claus?
Santa Claus. Santa
Oh,
Claus.
Mrs. Claus's
Right,
kitchen.
right.
Okay,
Yes, and then the fireworks start at 8:15.
okay. My granddaughter loves it.
Of course.
Yeah, okay.
What's not to love?
So, Tom, Lisa took up all your time. I'm
Sorry.
really
That's
sorry
fine.
about that. Thank
All
you
right.
very much. Good to see you again. And Lisa, of course, thank you always.
Thank you.
The toleration is appreciated. And thank all of you, and we'll see you again next month on State of the Town.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.